Welcome to the Global Peace Film Festival Lives Online Conversation 2023 Festival Edition. Please join me, Kelly Devine, the Artistic Director, and Nina Strike, the Founder and Festival Director, in conversation with Raquel Aguirre, the filmmaker behind the film So to Say, which is a part of our 2023 lineup, both in our in-person screenings, which begin September 19th and run through the 23rd, and our virtual program, which begins September 25th and runs through October 1st. All the information can be found at peacefilmfest.org. So now let's welcome Raquel to the conversation. Hello, Raquel.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me here today.
Hi, it's wonderful to have you with us, Raquel. And just to say something else about the screening of the film, it'll not only be shown on September at the same time in our festival in Winter Park, Florida, but also in the Lunenburg Doc Fest in Lunenburg in Nova Scotia. So we're delighted to be able to share this film with them. So let's start out. Tell us not just about the film, but also describe for the people watching this a little bit about Greenham Common and why that was so, why that was such an important event.
Yeah, of course. So the film that you will watch if you attend both festivals is about Thalia. Thalia is a British artist, particularly textile. She used to make banners, who in the early 80s decided to join a peace camp called Greenham Commons Women's Peace Camp in the UK. So back then, they were going to deploy a few missiles, nuclear missiles from the UK. They were going to be deployed sorry, I made a mistake there. They were going to deploy missiles from the US in UK soil. So a group of women decided to protest and started a march from Cardiff, the capital of Wales, to Greenham Common near London to protest against those nuclear missiles that were going to be put in British soil. And because they were not listened, this group of 36 women decided to stay and then started a peace camp that it was named Greenham Common Women's Peace Camp, because they decided soon after they established the peace camp, they decided that it was going to be women only, as they wanted to have their own voices. They wanted to be the ones that they were speaking out about this problem and this issue, and they wanted to be political and activist, something that it was women's back then were not allowed that space. That might feel a bit different now, obviously, but back then in the very early 80s, this was 1981 when the women marched from Wales to Greenham Common and started the peace camp. It wasn't as easy for a woman to be an activist, to leave the house, the gender roles that were assigned to women, it wasn't as easy. So they decided it was going to be women only. And the interesting thing maybe for the audience is that it lasted 19 years. So it was the longest women's protest in British history. So they stay there while the missiles from the US were deployed, and even if they were protesting in 1983, they arrived. But the women continued the protest, continued in the camp until the missiles left, and beyond that, because they wanted to bring the land back to the common people, to the people of the area. So it'll be interesting for those who've never heard about Greenham Common that it lasted for so long, and that more than, I think, 150,000 women were involved with Greenham. So it did impact the lives of those women and future generations that were maybe the daughters or people who were child back then and visited the camp. It did impact their lives, and it was very important for them.
So as you mentioned, this started 40 years ago, ended about 30 years ago. And, and to echo something you said, that for those in the audience who have not heard about, this is a wonderful way to have a very personal window into this history through Thalia's first person accounts. But how did you find out about it?
So it was many, many years ago. I was working sometime in Edinburgh. I was working for a Peace and Justice Resource Centre that was there. And I started reading these books about peace camps and found out about this peace camp in particular. And it struck me that I didn't know much about this story and why there were no more films. I was just trying to know more, and I couldn't find much apart from one film that had been filmed back in the 80s when the camp was ongoing. And I was just very intrigued why this story had not been told. So years after, I decided to go back to the story and try to find the women of Greenham, at least those ones who were still alive, because many of them sadly are not with us anymore. And I think what made me do this film, it was just I didn't want this story to be lost or to be forgotten. I think it did make a difference. It was the first non-violent action to protest against war and nuclear weapons. And it was very important because it was a movement from women and what it meant for all of them. So I thought it was important to find these women and tell their story. So I started researching. I interviewed a few of the women until I found Thalia. And Thalia, it's just, you'll see the film, she's such a character. She's lovely, she's an artist, and she has so much energy. And despite when we filmed the film, she was 81 already, but you'll see her energy, and she's just given her life to this cause and to keep Greenham Commons Women's Peace Camp memory alive with her art and her energy. So I thought she had to be the protagonist because she also shows also the complexities of being an activist. It's not as easy. You have other roles still. It's not as easy to escape as a woman sometimes, and like family, other things. So yeah, I thought she had to be the main character, and we spoke and she agreed, and I started to film with her.
And when people do see this film, they are going to be so charmed by the wit and the artistic skill that she brings to the banners, the protest banners. They're beautiful. So saving those and bringing those back into our living memory is such a gift to everyone. But can you tell us a little bit about, beyond wanting to rescue this little discussed chapter of history, did anything surprise you along the way, or were you taken aback by anything as you delved into the story?
I think first the fact that it was so unknown, even in the UK and worldwide, this story people didn't know about such a big protest just led by women and what it meant for them to be political, to take over space, to have their own space and make their own voices heard. As a woman, I felt really that we owe them something, as we do with other women and other people who in history have tried to fight for our rights that we now have. And we sometimes forget how difficult sometimes is to achieve. It's like for these women of Greenham, the suffragettes who got the vote in the UK, where they were the ones they were looking at back then. So I just thought, for me, them are also represent those who fought before us, and they were just opening ways and getting rights for all of us that we enjoy today. So I thought they needed to be kind of like remembered, and as the unsung heroes they all are. They are like those who have opened paths for all of us that we enjoy today. And also because I think sadly these days we see a lot of hate speech across the world, and it's easy to lose your rights at the same time. So it's nice to see how others and how difficult it is to achieve what we got today. So for me, it's important just to show that they protested 19 years. I think the suffragettes protested 100. So yeah, it's just not a given the way we live today in some countries. And it's just good to remember and honor what others have done for us. And yeah, just remember history. I think it's important for everyone to remember their history, and particularly for women. So yeah, that's what made me do this.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And one of the things that really attracted us to programming this film is that the central mission of the festival is to present models and frameworks for people, so that they can take something back into their own lives, into their own communities, to make the world a better place. And certainly this portrait is so inspiring. Can you tell us a little bit about what you hope audiences will take away from seeing this film?
So as you said, I hope they feel inspired. So the women of Greenham really wanted to make a better world. They thought that better world was possible, that it was possible to give a better future to their children. Back then, they really thought that nuclear war was possible. Some of them had experienced the war themselves, like Thalia. She experienced like the Second World War here in the UK. So I think they give this message of hope that the togetherness with other people like you can fight for your rights, you can fight for what you think is good to make a better world, and it's possible to do it through non-violence. And yeah, it's just that you're not alone, and there are more people who do good in this world, even if sometimes we don't hear their stories and we don't know about them. So yeah, I hope people feel the positive energy that Greenham had, the positive of these women, and they feel that they can do something as well, even if they feel sometimes it's small. When you get with others, it's not that small. You can make such a big difference as these women. They were 36 at the beginning, and they ended up being 150,000. So sometimes, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's really an inspiring film, showing the power of women organizing together. So what can people watching this do to support the film? And also, what's next for you?
I think just for the film, as they watch it, just maybe spread the word. If other people want to know about it, they can visit our our socials like Instagram and know about the film. They can always reach out if anyone wants to screen the film. We've done this just not for profit. This is just to tell the story about these women. So just reach out if any groups want to showcase the film anywhere in the world. And the next thing for me is still now in development of a new project. So I don't have much to share, but it will be as well about women. So I'm just very inspired about women's history. So I want to continue doing films about that.
Oh, wonderful, Raquel. Well, we will definitely stay in touch with you so that we can, give updates to our Global Peace Film Festival followers, who follow us on social media channels. They always love to hear updates about our filmmakers. So thank you for your film. Thank you for your work. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks to you all. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who watched today's conversation with Raquel Aguirre for the film So to Say. You can find out more information and support her work by going to her website, matryoshkafilms.com/films/so to say, all one word at the end, so to say. And if you want to find out more information about how to see So to Say at our film festival and all of our other programming, please go to peacefilmfest.org. Our in-person screenings begin September 19th and run through September 23rd. Our virtual programs begin September 25th and run through October the 1st. Thank you today, and we'll see you at the next Glow.